Life goes up and it goes down. I know my mom taught me.
Hello and welcome to Rollercoasting with me, your host, Megano. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey, it's nice to be here with you every week, I hope. This is your reminder that you can listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch full-length videos over on YouTube, which you should, because if you aren't already, I am in fact sitting in my very own fun fair. There's lots to see here, and I'd love you to come visit the fun fair, so please do that. And you might also see the odd short clip here and there on TikTok and Instagram. So just remember, you can never escape me. Happy Thursday when this comes out. How are we all doing? I woke up feeling in a very hyperactive mood. I got an email confirmation at 12 minutes past 7 this morning of 2 pieces of clothes I ordered. Like, who is online shopping at 7 in the morning? But I'll tell you how I woke up, because this is bizarre. So last night, me and my boyfriend, I never say his name. His name is Callum. So last night, me and Callum were on FaceTime, and we always say our bedtime is 11 p.m. and we never stick to it. So anyway, it's past 11, but he was checking us in. We're going to Milan at the weekend, so he was checking us into the flights and stuff, and I was pretending to be I'm listening, I'm engaged. I wasn't. I was sort of falling asleep. So he's like, you still there? And I was like, yeah. But I must have dozed off completely. Then by the time I woke up, I was like, Calm, are you there? And he was like, yeah. I was like, we fell asleep, like, hang up, because my phone was on charge on the ground, so I wasn't in reach to press hang up. So I'm like, right, hang up, right, night, whatever. But he must have fell straight back asleep, and none of us hung up, right? So this morning, this is the worst sound ever to wake up to. This morning, I wake up to and I'm like, what the fuck? That is not my alarm. I would never set that as my alarm. I actually don't have a death wish, unlike some people, unlike him. His alarm is that horrific one. Why would you ever need to be woken up to that siren? What an awful way to start your day, right? Whenever I stay at his, okay, I understand. I'm just going to need to deal with that alarm. That's his. But I'm like, I was so confused. I woke up, I'm like, why can I hear that noise? I'm in my own room. He's not here. We had stayed on FaceTime the full night, and his alarm has went off and it's playing through my phone. How bizarre is that? So I'm like, Callum, and he's obviously confused how I'm shouting him, because like I'm in Scotland and he's in Manchester. And he's like, what? I was like, we've stayed on FaceTime. And he's like, oh. And when he wakes up in the morning, like, it's really still half asleep. Like, it takes a lot to wake him up, hence the horrific alarm clock. So he's like, whoa, confused. I'm like, turn the alarm off. I was raging. Anyway, he's like, right, turns it off. And he's like, right, I've got to go. So this is 7 in the morning. He's obviously supposed to be getting up for work. He proceeds to fall back asleep and woke up closer to 9 and went to work. Anyway, I've been up since 7 with that horrible alarm, but I've had a right productive morning. I got up, I've done some online shopping, I had my porridge, I've been all out and about, I've been here, there and everywhere, so I've also had 4 coffees, so I'm feeling tuned to the moon. I'm feeling recharged and refreshed this weekend. This week, because I had a fresh weekend. I had a sober weekend. Those don't happen very often. I'm a girl who likes to have a wee cocktail. I like a spicy I tell a lie, I did have a spicy margarita, but just the one. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't even tipsy. I just had one for the taste. But you know, my weekends always consist of going out and socialising, and sometimes going out and socialising, it shouldn't, but it does normally entail drinking alcohol. Whereas this weekend I said no, apart from that one. This weekend I had a sober, wholesome weekend. I spent the whole weekend with my friends, and that's another thing. Actually, the girl said this to me and I didn't even really think about it. Because I'm spending so much time in Manchester to see Callum, like, sometimes I'm writing off a full weekend at home, and typically I would spend at least one of the days with my friends. So my friends were like, we miss you. I was like, oh my God, I feel actually terrible. But it's so hard. I'm like a clown with all these juggling balls, and it's just really hard to juggle them all. But I'm doing my best, and that is all we can do. I'm a clown in more ways than one with the juggling balls and just general life, because I do dress like a clown as well, and I act like a clown sometimes. Clowns. Is anyone scared of clowns? I'm not. You know who I really like? Pennywise. I dressed up as Pennywise and I made a great Pennywise. I like Pennywise. Not scared of him. I think he's a bit of a hoot. Before clowns. Oh yeah, I spent the weekend with my friends and I just needed that full girls' weekend. We had food. I had one spicy marg and we had lots of chat and lots of laughter. And now I feel so fresh. I'm having a fantastic week already and it's only Tuesday. So this week, I'm trying to think of how I could relate this topic to anything I just spoke about, but I can't really, to be honest. But this week, I wanted to speak about dates. For me, I always say this, very few things in life make me nervous. Like, for me to get nervous, it takes a lot, but when I get nervous, I get nervous. Like, I think all the nerves that I should have experienced other days of the week like pile up in me at once. Does that make sense? Like, because I don't get nervous, it's like all the built up nerves come out at once. Like when I sat my driving test, I was shaking so much that I couldn't even put my foot in the clutch. And the instructor was like, right, whenever you're ready. I was like, sorry, legs shaking like a leaf, can't actually move it. So when I get nervous, it's like uncontrollable nerves. And I'll tell you what makes me that nervous. Dates. I've not been on that many dates. As we all know, it is absolutely no secret. I'm a relationship type of gal. And I mean, I'm going to blow my own trumpet here by saying this, but I'm like a good house that goes on the market. When a good house goes on the market, it doesn't stay on the market for long. You better book that viewing in quick if you want to be in with a chance of buying that house. That is like a metaphor. Don't take that literally. No one has ever bought me in the past and no one ever will buy me in the future. I am not for sale, but I'm like a good house that goes in the market, if I do say so myself. Would you agree? You'd agree. I'm sure you would all agree. So I've not been on a large amount of dates. So when I do go on dates, I'm like a fish out the water. It is terrifying. It's like a job interview, but 1,000 times worse. Because at least with a job interview, that's just your professional life. A date would be your whole life. That's terrifying. So although I might not have tons of dating stories up my sleeves, I do have a couple that I could share. No, I have one. I'm gonna share one story because it wouldn't be fair for me not to share my own stories. If I had more, I would tell you. But as I said, not been on that many dates. I think the amount of first dates I've been on in my life is like 6, maybe 6, 5 or 6. Whoa, my full life. I'm 26. That's pretty crazy. Hopefully never go on one again, should my relationship work out. Wow, that's pretty nuts. But guess I know who will have some good dating stories. You lot, you, and you. So of course we're going to go to McGannell's Mail, but not quite yet. We're gonna go there after. I will get things kick-started and share my own stories, but I want to hear funny stories, tragic stories, awkward stories, worst stories, absolutely anything. Because as much as an awkward date, bad date, whatever date at the time is hellish, much like what we're talking about in the hotel episode, they make for great stories. It's all character building. So we'll kick things off with my awkward date story. Right, let me set the scene. So I've been talking to this boy for a couple of months. We spoke on Instagram DM. We've been talking for at least, I think, like 2 months before he asked me on a date. So I'm thinking, like, is he just not interested? But why does he keep messaging me all the time if he's not interested? Like, 2 months is a long time to speak to someone if you're not interested. So I'm like, why is he not asking me on a date? You know, I'm running away with my mind. I'm like, right, obviously speaking to tons of girls. Maybe he's got a long list of dates to get through and I'm just somewhere down the bottom. But I did stick around. Why did I stick around? And enjoyed the chat. We had good chat. It was funny. It was engaging. And I really fancied him. And one thing about me is I don't often fancy people. Not because I have high standards and I think I'm an absolute oil painting myself, because I don't. But I just very rarely fancy people. For a while, I did consider I might be asexual. I thought that for a while of my life. I thought maybe that answers quite a lot of questions, but I'm not. Studies have shown I'm not asexual. Anyway, I liked this guy's chat and I thought he was quite easy on the eye. So I was like, right, okay, you know what? I've got time to kill here in my single era, so I continue to speak to him. So time goes on, and eventually he asked me on a date. I thought, oh my gosh, about time, right? Like, clock's ticking. So the date's arranged. Now we go to an escape room. Now, for some people, this would be a hellish first date. For me, this is a perfect first date. Well, actually, my perfect first date is a theme park. Believe it or not, I've always said that. If anyone asks me what's perfect first date, theme park. But we've only got M&Ds in Scotland, and it's just not quite Alton Towers. If I had like Fort Park or Alton Towers, that'd be great. But M&Ds, it's not quite up there on the theme park hierarchy. Is that a word? Yeah, sure. So anyway, we go to an escape room. I'll tell you why I like an activity as a first date. Because if the date's going bad and you've nothing to speak about, you're at least doing an activity so you can talk about the activity. And if there's anywhere to break the ice, it's definitely an escape room. I'll tell you why. Because we get into our escape room, and before we know it, I'm handcuffed to one side of the wall and he's handcuffed to the other wall of the other side of the room. So, I mean, you can't be awkward in a time like that. You're just going to need to go on with it. So we got on with the day, and right away I'm like, okay, this proves that we can solve problems together, we can communicate, because to get each other out of these handcuffs at opposite sides of the room, it took teamwork, it took problem solving, it took good communication, it took patience. So actually it was a really great way of testing out loads of these real life problems in a not real life scenario. Although it was terrifying, it was like a surgery. It was based off of like a hospital surgery. There was literally like a fake like body and like people hanging off the ceiling and like bags and stuff. I mean, it was quite a gruesome first date, but anyway, it definitely broke the ice, and we were having a laugh, and I was like, right, okay, calm down. Anyway, we finished the escape room. I think we got out with like 40 seconds to spare. Pretty good, hey? So we get out, and I should mention we met at 12 p.m. Is that the afternoon? Not midnight, yeah, 12 p.m. And at first I thought, right, he wants to meet me at 12 because it was a Saturday. He wants to meet me at 12 so he can fuck off at 5 and meet his friends. That's what I was thinking. I was like, right. Anyway, that wasn't the case. So we've met at 12, we've done an escape room, and we come out, and it's now like 1:30 in the afternoon. We said we were going to have a sober date. So we went to a restaurant for lunch. But I'll tell you what, the sun's shining. It was a glorious day outside, and it really did call for a wee white wine. So we sit down, we have our pasta, we had a bottle of wine or several bottles of wine, and before we know it, we're both quite drunk. So the date continues, we go to another bar, we keep drinking, we're having fun, and before we know it, we actually met up with one of his best friends and his best friend's girlfriend. So we're now on a double date on our first date, which was fine. I had a great time. His friends were lovely. It did low-key turn into a night out. What happens on a night out if you're me? You're going to Highland dance, you're going to do the splits, and you're going to do the crab. All of which were done on the first day. I do have video evidence, so I will attach it here. Not really keeping the cool, calm, collected vibe I was going for on the first date, but hey, at least I've just ripped the band-aid off and showed them what he'd be in for should this work out. So that's fine. We're doing the crab, we're doing the splits, we're having more drinks. So before we know it, bear in mind we met at 12 in the afternoon, before we know it, it is 11 p.m. at night. Time flies when you're having fun, hey? Now this is key information. This boy lives quite far away, so it was hard for him to get home now that he had missed his last train. Now I decided to do what any good Samaritan would do in this moment, and I offered him a place to stay. So I said, yeah, you can stay at mine tonight if you want. And I honestly have to make it clear that was my intentions. I just was giving him a roof over his head for the night. Because that is so not on my bingo card. That's so of what? No, that's the wrong saying. It's off my bingo card as well. Out of character. It's really out of character for me to do something like that. I have never had someone stay after a date or stayed at theirs. It's very out of character for me. But I just didn't want him to be homeless for the night. I was doing what any good person would do in this situation. So I'm like, you can stay at mine's if you want. So he's like, yeah, if you want. So we get in a taxi and we're driving to mine, and I was thinking, oh God, this is kind of crazy. But hey, I'm 26, I'm single. This must be what single people do. So I'm getting into my handbag. I'm like, right, get my house key ready. About to show him to McGannell's Manor. It should warn them that every single door in the house is a different colour from the next, and there's teddy bears everywhere, and you know, it's just a bit of a bizarre flat. Anyway, I'm getting the key out. I'm rummaging through my handbag and I'm like, where the fuck is the key? Can't find the key. The key is lost, right? The key is gone. I don't know where the keys went. I probably fell out my bag when I was doing the splits or cartwheels or whatever I was doing. So I was like, shit, there's no house key. So it depends how you look at this. One positive or negative is I don't live very far away from my mum and dad, and my mum and dad have a spare key. So I was like, funny story, I've lost my house key, so we're going to need to stop by my mum and dad's. And he's like, your mum and dad's? He's like, did they know you're on a date? I was like, they do, yeah, they do indeed. So anyway, we get the driver. I changed in the address in Uber. I'm like, swing by mum and dad's. Now, my mum and dad, like, as I said, this is out of character and this is awkward as well, but my mum and dad, like, we, you know, it's all very innocent and PG and just cutesy, so like they would probably really raise their eyebrows at me having a boy staying. I just met today, so I was like, this is so awkward. But anyway, I was like, just play it cool. I was like to the boy, you stay in the taxi, I'll get out. Feel free to duck. He's very tall, so you could see him. But anyway, I get a taxi down to my mum and dad's driveway. Ding dong. They answer and they're like, what are you doing here? Didn't expect to see you here. I'm like, neither. Spare key? And they're like, where's your key? I said, I've lost it. And they're like, you're so drunk. You're on a first date and you're this drunk. I'm like, yeah, sorry, I've lost my key. Just give me the spare key and I'll catch up with you in the morning. And of course, their eyes wandered over to the taxi and they said, oh, you're not alone. And I was like, no, I'm not. But he just missed his last train home and he can't get home, so he's just gonna stay in mine for the night. Look at it as a hotel stay. That's all it is, merely a hotel stay. So mum and dad are like, right. And I was like, anyway, bye, love you, it's night, get to sleep safe. So back up. I'm like, oh my God, this is so awkward. Although I'm 26, it should be loud, but it's just an awkward situation. Do you want your mum and dad to know you're having the boy you went on a date with stay? No, ideally not. So we get back to mine and I made us some noodles, and I'm honestly being serious. It was not what you think it was, right? But we get into bed and we're having a wee cuddle, and I burst into tears. I am sobbing. I am pouring my heart out, saying how I don't have boys stay. And he's just like, okay. So I'm pouring my heart out. I'm crying. I'm unpacking all this trauma of previous relationships to this boy I have just met today on our first date. And he's like, right, okay. So eventually we go to sleep, and I wake up to the same noise I was talking about earlier. I'm like, what the fuck? We've just went to bed. By the time we go to sleep, it's like 1 a.m. and it's now like 7 a.m. and this alarm's gone off. So I roll over. I'm like, what on earth? And he's like, right, I need to go. I'm like, what? So he's like, yeah, I'm going to go. It is so awkward in the morning because obviously I've just spent the night crying. I offered him to stay at my house. I brought him to my house. We took a detour to mum and dad, and then I proceeded to cry to him about why I don't like boys staying at my house. So naturally, he's obviously thinking, get me the fuck out of here. So he's like, right, I need to go. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So quickly put some clothes on, drive him to the train station, wave him goodbye. And I was like, right, well, I'll never see him again ever in my life. So I'm driving home, sobbing, because I won't lie, I did like him already by this point. And I was so embarrassed because I was like, what the actual fuck did I just do? Like, what was that? So I get home, I FaceTime Nadine. Nadine answers FaceTime. She's with her boyfriend. And I was like, oh my God. And Nadine's like, stop. She said, why do you look like you have just cheated on your boyfriend? I don't have a boyfriend at this moment in time. Should I make clear? She said, you look like you have cheated on somebody. Like, why are you acting like that? You're a single girl and you were on a date. And I was like, no, but blah, blah. So her and her boyfriend had to give me a wee therapy session on why it is okay to have sleepovers as an adult. So I've fully prepped myself. I said to Dina, I'm never hearing from him again. And she was like, I mean, it is kind of weird you cried to him. Like, I'll give you that. Strange first date vibes. I was like, oh my God, okay, right. I'm never going to hear from him again. And that's just that. Like, I'm just going to have to deal with that. So I tried to put on TV, distract myself. And much to my disbelief, he did text me. Took his sweet ass time, I will say. He did text me, and cut a long story short, he's now my boyfriend. Yay! So it did all work out for the best. And we didn't speak about the first date until like a good few dates in. And I was like, so what did you make of the first date? And he was like, yeah, it was really fucking awkward. Like in the morning, he was like, I just needed out of there like so fast. Bizarre first date. Oh, also my mum, before I had heard from him. So I'm on my couch in crippling anxiety. My mum texts me, so how was the visitor last night? ... Hope he slept on the couch. I'm like, no, because I can't lie. One thing about me is I can't lie. And I said, no, he didn't sleep on the couch, but it was just cuddles. My mum's like, oh, okay. I'm like, why are you even texting me anyway? Did you not witnessing me take him home? Was that not enough? Do we really just have to kick a man when she's down? Honestly. Anyway, it all worked out for the best. But that is really as far as my awkward dating stories go. It was very awkward, and I was and you know what, and a lot of tears were shed on that first date. But thank God I'm done with the first dates, because they just aren't for me, evidently. Unfortunately, guys, that's as far as my, or fortunately, actually, that's as many awkward date stories as I have. So it's time to take it over to you. And let's see what McGanna's Mail has to offer this week. And remember, guys, McGanna's Mail is available to WhatsApp whenever you want to. I will kind of prompt you each week what I'm looking for, but the number will be on screen now. If you have anything that you think that I need to see, hit me up. So let's take it to McGanna's Mail and see. Wow, we have quite a lot of messages. I must say thank you so much for anyone who ever writes into McGanna's Mail. I get it's probably quite scary trusting a stranger, although I hope you don't think I'm a stranger to you. I'm not a stranger to you. We're besties over here on rollercoasting, but it will always be 100% anonymous. You know. Identities will always be hidden. Right, let's kick things off and see what we have in McGanna's Mail. This one says, awkward date, ! Fantastic. Sorry to hear that, but great to hear it for the purpose of this episode. Hi McGanno, love the pod, keep it up. Oh, thank you. I plan on doing so. I've got an awkward date story from when I was about 15 years old. Oh my God, so did I. That just came back to me. I've got another one from when I was 19, but I'm not ready to share that with the world. Gross. Oh dear. Okay, well, you know, whenever the time is right to share it, you know where McGanna's mailbox is. This was my very first date, so naturally, I brought my two best friends with me. But on the date, I knew this boy through a friend that went to a different school. We were chatting for about 3 months and little me was excited. Oh, I mean, it is so cute when you're like just that age. It's so cute and innocent and happy. The day of the date came. We planned on going to Starbucks in town and then to the cinema. ... Transformers was not my pick. I could not tell you what even happened in the movie. My two best friends were there and our first time meeting was at Starbucks. He comes strolling in. He sees me sat there with my friends and doesn't come up to say hello. Bearing in mind, we've never met in person before. He goes to order a hot chocolate first and then comes over to the table. My two friends sat on one side, me on the other. I don't think he knew I was bringing my friends. Well, I mean, I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that on a date, you probably wouldn't expect him to bring your friends, but hey, I don't know. But let me tell you, the vibes from chatting on Snapchat were out the window in person. He was on his phone the whole time we were in Starbucks, but please, ... The boy was scrolling back and forth on his home screen. I saw it, my friends saw it too through his glasses. Oh my God, not the glasses catching him out. Then we went to the cinema and sat in silence for 2 hours with him on one side and my besties on the other. Bless him, we were only we. After that day, I blocked him. I wished him well and blocked him. I've still got my besties though. My ride or dies. Haha, that's what matters. That is a classic first date story. I have one very similar to this also aged 15 and also went to the cinema. And believe it or not, when I was younger, I was a bit more shy. I don't really know when I became not shy. Maybe in the last decade. Yeah, because that means I was been 16. I think the turning point was when I was 16, 17. But when I was 15, I went on this date with this boy. And like that, I always kind of knew him from school, and he was a year above me. And I always thought he was like handsome. And we go on a date to the cinema. Pretty sure our mum and dads are friends. Yeah, oh my God, there's an even more awkward story about his mum that I am simply not going to share. Happened quite recently. She's lovely, nothing to do with her, all to do with me. We go to cinema and I just don't know what to talk about. I really, really don't. So I'm on my phone loads, and he eventually was like, what are you doing like on your phone? Like, you're on your phone a lot. I was like, oh, playing Sims. I was just playing Sims on the date and nothing else to do. I was like, do you want to see my Sims? He was like, no. Anyway, that was good. But you know what? That is a classic first date. They're very awkward. And something that I used to do, I'm talking shit. I've been on more than 6 dates, but I've been on like silly dates. But like, I'd go on dates with boys when I was really young, and they'd be like trying to kiss me. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I didn't kiss anyone until quite an old age. I'm like, like what are you actually trying to do? So yeah, first dates when you're young and innocent, oh, they're just cute. This person said, anonymous, please. Always. Would I ever expose? Maybe. No, I'm kidding on. I wouldn't. One time when I lived abroad, one time when I lived abroad, I went on a date with a guy who didn't speak English. Okay. Brave, I suppose. But there's other ways to communicate, I guess. Or is there? I wouldn't know what to do, but I'm just trying to look for the positives. He was very good looking and said he worked in entertainment. Okay. I won't tell you where it was because I'll be exposing myself to any of my pals who listen. Okay, sure. Long story cut short, he was trying to learn to be a magician. Random, I know. Hey, I feel like that's the kind of profession I would go for. I mean, my boyfriend is not a magician or anything of the sort, but that would drag me in. You know, that's quite fun. Like, does he pull rabbits out of hats? Yeah. Things started quite normal. With normal chat about what he likes and dislikes. How are he chatting if he doesn't speak English? Maybe you can speak another language. Then all of a sudden he whaps out a pack of cards. He said he wanted to show me a magic trick, and I thought it was a bit weird, but fair enough to break the ice. Yeah. Anyway, he then proceeded to spend the whole day, in brackets, 3 hours, and at this deadly quiet bar, trying card tricks on me, except everyone went wrong. He kept getting more frustrated at the fact neither of us could really communicate, made it even worse. Every time he'd think he'd found my card, he'd pick out the wrong one again, and then I'd burst out laughing. I ended up half cutting cocktails, so kept laughing even more every time he did it wrong. That just made him more frustrated and then gave me even more of the ick. It was the most awkward first date I've ever had, and my pals still take the piss today. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely pretty awkward, but that's a good story to tell, and I would personally find that fun. Sitting, having a few cocktails, watching someone fail miserably at their new career path. Sounds fun. Moving on to the next. Thought I'd share a story from my dating days. I'm happily married now. Oh, congratulations. We love a success story. But needed to send this from about 10 years ago. Oh, we blast in the past. So, met up with this boy from Tinder, red flag number 1. You know, I've actually never been on a dating app, and it doesn't make me sad because, you know, I happily have a boyfriend, but I feel like I have missed out on trying that out. Anyway, it's something I can definitely live without, but I just hear such funny stories from the dating apps. And what would my dating profile be is another thing to consider. What would I put on there? Some really funny photos, I think, and some good pickup lines. Anyway, so she's met someone from Tinder. I was 17 and he was 27. She's put in bracket, red flag number 2. I mean, they do say age is just a number. I can't imagine anyone 10 years older wanting something to do with me because I have quite an immature brain. So imagine I met someone, I am 26. A 36-year-old would have nothing in common with me. He'd probably just think I'm like his weird niece or something. Anyway, we were seeing each other for a couple of weeks when he wanted to surprise me with a date. I thought, brilliant, that's lovely. Yeah, a surprise is great. I did ask myself the question how he was planning to surprise me when he didn't drive. He had his license taken off him. Red flag number 3. Yeah, okay. That one, yeah, I would say is probably a red flag for shizzles. He said it was about an hour away and I'd need to drive or let him drive my car. Considering you've had your license taken off you, I think that's probably not a good idea. But anyway, who am I to judge? So obviously, 17-year-old me thought it was a great idea to let this man, 10 years older than me, with a revoked licence, drive my car. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? The full car journey, I was wondering where we were going. Each town we came to, I thought, oh my God, is this it? I know this restaurant is here, I know that restaurant is here, etc. As we got closer, I realised where we were going. To Braehead Shopping Centre. I thought, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we're going bowling, cinema, mini golf, Nando's or whatever. Nah. He took me to McDonald's and that was it. I'm not joking. We must have passed about 5 McDonald's on the way. Dickhead. Yeah, I mean, I love a McDonald's. And I actually have been to McDonald's on a first date before. And I thought, great. I love McDonald's. I love 20 chicken nugget share box, sweet chili dip. But I think the problem is here, the man is driving when he doesn't possess a licence and he's already passed 5 McDonald's on the way. Braehead Shopping Centre, it's not the most popping and locking first date spot, but bless him for trying. I wonder what he's up to now, probably in prison. The strangest dating story, ... Oh, we've got another Tinder one here. So, I had been chatting to this guy on Tinder. She's done this emoji. He was Italian, tall, and seemed to have his shit together, not doing the whole creepy Tinder guy chat. Okay, we appreciate it. A wee Italian stallion. We met up and we're going to go on a wee drive somewhere. Oh, this is sounding a lot like the last one. Oh, another red flag. First red flag was he wanted me to meet him at his business, a car sales garage. Well, a car sales hut. I'm greeted by a cane Corso, in brackets, a big fuck off dog, which didn't bother me as I love dogs. So I proceed to pet the dog, all good. Can I pet that dog? The guy then says he doesn't usually like strangers. He's a guard dog for here. Off we go. Off we go as he brings this huge dog into the back seat of a very old BMW. Again, I'm not judging. I drive a Ford Fiesta at this point. The car was small and the dog was slithering all over the place. He drives us to Duck Bay. I'm trying to be positive and give the guy a chance. After all, he's my lift back to my own car. So we go a wee walk. So we go a wee walk to the water where the guy takes off his slip-on Vans off his feet. He then goes into the water with the dog and asks me to join, which I decline, obviously. He comes out of the water barefoot, all wet and sandy, and slides his feet back into the Vans. We then walk back to the car. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out about the wet, sandy feet in his shoes. When all hell breaks loose with the mad Doug, as that's the only way I can describe it, it's only lost its shit at a poor woman who only walked past. Guy can hardly control the thing, and I'm pretending I'm not with him. I've never been so scared in my life the car journey back to get my car. Safe to say, I never seen him or the dog again and swore off Tinder after that. ... Till like a month I rejoined and met my now fiance and living the wifey to be life with 2 babies. So I guess Tinder's got a couple of good eggs. Love your podcast. Good luck in the studio. Keep smashing it. Now that is a nice success story and a funny story. A funny story in there too. Sometimes you need to kiss some frogs till you meet your prince. And maybe that guy in the large dog, what's that large dog called? A cane Corso? Maybe we can get one of those on screen. I'm not too sure what a cane Corso is. So maybe that guy, the cane Corso and the sandy wet vans were all part of your story. Congrats on being a fiance and the 2 little babies. Someone has sent to Megano's mail photos of... Now, at first I thought she's meant to send me this because it's like her and a boy, but then there's photos of what looks like her and maybe a little sister or a niece. Then there's what looks like maybe a gran, a dog is at this function party. Someone's holding the dog. Then it looks like the boy who was in the photos dancing with her gran, but no context whatsoever. Just 6 items, 5 photos and a video. Thanks. You look like a lovely, happy family, but I'm not too sure what I'm meant to do with that. Did she mean to send me this? Anyway, if that's your boyfriend, you look really happy and you must have had some nice dates. What on earth? Right, one more dating story for the road. Oh, gosh, we might have saved the best to last because she says, I think I take the crown for the worst first date story ever. Well, I'm intrigued to know more. I wish I was joking when I say every time you think this story can't get worse, it does. Oh, I'm excited. Sorry, I'm not excited to hear that you've been on a really bad date, but I'm excited for the purpose of this episode, including my throat and everything. So, I matched with this guy on Tinder and we were chatting for 2 weeks. In brackets, we had met once on a night out, so I knew he was real. Always a good place to start. He is, in fact, alive and with us in the human world. Great. He invited me to his flat for drinks and then we were going to town. My sister dropped me off at his flat at 6 p.m. and he opens the door to the flat. It is stinking. Like, think of every bad smell you have ever smelled and times it by 10. One thing about me is since I had COVID, my one side effect that has always stayed with me, I mean, I don't even know if this is a real side effect, but basically I lost my smell when I had COVID, and when my smell came back, all I could smell was bad things, not nice things. And now when I smell a bad smell, I smell it like 10 times worse than everyone else. I mean, I can't like actually fact check that because I don't know what it is to have other people's nostrils, but I can smell, for example, a sewage miles away before anyone else can. It's horrible. So, God, if I rocked up to his flat, I'd probably collapse. It was so dirty and messy too. Literally cat shit on the floor. Oh, not the fucking cat shit. At least it's not human shit. That'd be so much worse. Not that cat shit's any more pleasant. Then he closes his front door when I'm in his flat and and starts barricading it closed with a drum kit. She wrote, red flags, lol. I was like, what are you doing? And he said his door doesn't... He said his door doesn't lock, so he uses that. What, a drum kit? Like, get a locksmith? No. A drum kit, okay. Sure, whatever floats your goat.
What's your goal?
Is that not the same?
What's your boat? We can keep it going.
Whatever floats your goat on a boat. There we go. Okay, so yeah, his door doesn't lock, so naturally he uses his drum kit. Okay, sure. So I'm barricaded in this stinking flat and consoling myself with the fact I will need to be there for an hour. We go into his living room and he has a bed. He has a bed sheet nailed to the window as a curtain. Okay. It's giving train spot and drug den vibes. Yeah. Hey, I wasn't going to be the one to say it. I ended up being there until 1 a.m. and couldn't leave because of the drum kit. During this time, he proceeds to drink a full bottle of whiskey with Fanta to himself. Whiskey and Fanta? I don't drink whiskey, but I know that those are two things that do not go whilst I'm basically sober. Oh, he was obsessed with Charles Manson and started playing Charles Manson's music and wanted to talk in depth. in depth about what his lyrics meant. He told me that all of his favourite musicians have murdered women. Of all the things you could talk about on a first date, and hey, I know I'm not great on first dates. I cry telling people that I don't want them staying at my house whilst they're staying at my house. But I think that would actually be better than telling people your favourite musicians murder women when you're on a date with a woman. But hey, that's just me. I used his bathroom and there was cat shit everywhere. Does he have a cat? I hope he has a cat. Because the cat's not been mentioned yet. There's cat shit everywhere. The bath was brown with dirt. Ugh, you're not going to be very clean when you go in there, are you? And the toilet paper was mouldy. Can toilet paper go mouldy? What the actual fuck? When I got back, he announced that he was going for a shit. Right, that's me away for a shit. Just enjoy this living room. Play the drums or something, amuse yourself. He announced he was going for a shit, left the door open and was talking to me while shitting. Then he went on YouTube to show me a video, and the last video he watched... Oh my God, no! The last video he watched is how to give yourself a rectal exam. And he was like, oh, I done that last night. And in brackets, not one bit of soap. Not one bit of soap was in this house, so his fingers that were literally up his bum were not cleaned. Then he starts talking about the... I don't know what this is either. What's the Kama Sutra? Right, okay. Then he starts talking about the Kama Sutra, and I didn't know what it was, so he put on a video on his TV of a naked couple recreating all the sex positions, in brackets, basically porn, and he was telling me in detail about the ones he has done and wants to do. It says, man. At this point, it's 1 a.m, and I keep trying to get him to leave the flat to get a taxi. In brackets, I was going to go home as soon as we got to the taxi rank. So we're walking the streets at night, and he is kicking cars and bank machines. What? And then he passes a random guy on the street and takes drugs off of him. Oh dear. Then as we are walking, a random guy starts to follow him and starts to follow us and tries to fight him. I almost got punched. Oh my God. Then the guy I'm on a date with phones the police on the other guy and says he wants them to strip search the guy and he wants to watch. Whoa! At this point, it's 2 a.m. and I see a taxi rank, but it's empty. So I'm just waiting on a taxi turning up so I can leave. And then he turns to me and is like, why are you being so quiet? Oh, I don't know. What? And I was like, I just don't like the conflict. Then he started getting angry and telling me to go and stand with the other guy since I'm taking his side. Oh my God. Then he takes a knife out of his pocket and asks if I want... Sorry, this is not funny. Asks if I want him to go and stab the other guy. No. Ideally not. Sorry. So I'm like, he has a knife in his pocket, and this whole time I'm like, cool. Then I say, cool. What is cool about this? Then I see a taxi pull up, and I tell him I'm leaving. So I start speed walking to the taxi, and he runs after me, and I'm like, right, this is it. I'm getting stabbed in the back. And then he was like, oh, don't let him ruin our night. Sorry, babe, I think the night was ruined when the drum kit was barricaded against the door and the cat shits everywhere and you've gave yourself a rectile exam or whatever it's called. Rectal exam? Rectile? I'm thinking of reptiles. Even they'd be better in this situation. And we all know I don't like reptiles. But I'd definitely rather that over the rectal exam. He was like, oh, don't let this ruin the night. And there were plenty of things I wanted to respond with, but I was very aware he had a knife. So I told him that the way he acted and spoke to me ruined the night, and then I got in the taxi. Worst.date.ever. But like, at least I didn't get murdered. That one definitely does take the crown. We did definitely save the best to last, if you could call that the best, in some weird realm. What the actual fuck? I wish we had a photo of this man. If you can send me a photo of this man, please do, because I just must put a name to this identity. What the actual fuck? Wow. Well, it is fair to say that those dates are definitely worse than me being an emotional wreck on a first date. But thanks so much for sending in your stories. Thanks for confiding in me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember, if you go on any dates and they're shit, just think, this will make a good story one day. And I could totally send this to McGannell's mail. The mailbox is always here for your dating mishaps. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Whatever way you have heard or seen this episode, thank you so much. It really does mean the world. Remember to subscribe to Rollercoaster Podcast YouTube channel. Remember to give me a wee thumbs up. It would really help me out. Remember to follow at Rollercoaster Podcast on both TikTok and Instagram. If you want to see more of me, please do that. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you next week. There might be a little someone with me next week. But thanks so much. I love you so much. And I will see you next week. Bye.
I'm not gonna wake up